I've been all over the UK and all over Europe this year. One of the few places I haven't been much this year is right on my doorstep, Northumberland. And recently I found the Northumberland 250. It's a 250-mile round trip that sort of goes all the way around Northumberland, dips into Scotland, comes back. And although I've been to loads of the places individually in Northumberland, I haven't done it as a road trip. But can you actually do it as a proper road trip? Well, that's what I'm trying to find out. Most of this road trip, I suspect, is going to be very much like this, which is you're just driving in what's classed as the English countryside. Now, I'm not a fan of it at all, to be honest, and I don't know whether it's a controversial opinion or not. I'm really not sure. However, the English countryside is basically just loads of farmers' fields that have been glorified for me for no reason whatsoever, because it's not pretty to look at, it's not natural, it's just not a thing that I'm a fan of.
As we stopped to have a spot of lunch, Danny decided to address my pretty biased opinion.
It's nice.
You're definitely not going to get the mountains.
No.
Definitely not. So I think you're sort of setting yourself up to fail.
No, I'm not.
You definitely
I am a little bit, and I know that I'm not going to enjoy as much as Scotland because I know there's no mountains like or scenery.
There's plenty of hills.
It's just like now that we've been to Norway, every time I go to Scotland, although I love it for what it is, it's never Norway. It's just like this is never Scotland, I suppose. But
that's where you've just got to appreciate it for what it is.
Colored trees, your yellow leaves move me.
One of my biggest hates of living in England is anytime you're going anywhere rural, no phone signal at all. You go to Scotland, signal in most rural areas, actually quite a good signal in most rural areas. You go to Norway, 5G everywhere. No matter how steep the mountains are, no matter how deep the valleys are, signal, 5G, perfect. England, relatively open. I mean, I can see here for miles back there, not a dribble of signal on my phone.
Dancing moves your painted red.
The Drake Stone in Harbottle was our planned hike for the day, but when we got there, the Forestry Commission had decided that they needed to use what was once the car park as a log store. So instead, we decided to push on to the beautiful Northumberland coastline.
I get closer, open up the sky for me. When you say I'll dig much deeper, I will shout.
So this is Sea Houses. This is one of the best stretches of beach, definitely in the north, possibly in the UK, I would say anyway.
We sat and enjoyed the beautiful coastline and the mild weather for a while, and then headed to Bamburgh Castle, where we'd be staying for the night. Well, this is our park up for the night. It's in Bamburgh Castle car park, and it's actually one of the council trialled overnight park up locations. Now, the council own 119 car parks across Northumberland. Guess how many they run in the trial in? 3. And from that 3, I mean, you've seen the size of this car park. This is the biggest one. There's only 20 spaces that's been allocated across all 3 car parks. Plus, on top of that, you do also have to book it online. You can't just turn up and pay on a paying machine or anything like that. So it is a little bit backwards. However, we have got Bamburgh Castle in the background. Some beautiful scenery, lovely weather, and forecasts for even better weather tomorrow, and a few pubs around the corner. So I can't really complain. Well, morning. It is Sunday and the weatherman has just lied to us. It's meant to be glorious and it's not. So we're just driving out of Bamburgh, where we stayed overnight in one of 3 council trial overnight parking areas. There should definitely be a hell of a lot more than that, but as we know, England are notoriously anti-camper van in pretty much everywhere, to be honest, and they hate anything other than campsite stays, which, to be fair, for me isn't what I want to be doing on a road trip. I want to be able to just turn up somewhere late on the night, park up, stay the night and leave the next morning without any hassle. It's pointless me paying for a nice well-groomed campsite when ideally I just want to get there when it's dark and leave pretty early. I'll not see it anyway, so what is the point? Now, according to Google, there's over 225,000 motorhomes registered in the UK. That doesn't include self-builds, so that'll take the figure up to say 500,000. Now, if you think 1 in 10 people is a so that's 50,000 patrolling around the UK in camper vans, causing a nuisance, leaving rubbish everywhere and all the rest of it. That is what it is. They're still going to do that regardless of whether you trial and put other car parks on and all the rest of it. So I don't understand why councils and sort of MPs and all the rest of it don't look to try and provide facilities for the rest of us that are not that will pay donations, £10 here and there, £5, whatever it is, just to stay somewhere and guarantee that we're not going to get moved on in the middle of the night, and we can have a peaceful night's sleep and then crack on the next morning. That's the castle, and from the car park it looks miles away. It's not actually that far away, it's just a lot smaller than it looks. So don't be put off by thinking it's a big hike. It's not, and don't be fooled into thinking it's a big castle, because it's also not. As we left Holy Island and pushed inland, I used any excuse I could to not admit that I was actually enjoying the views. To be fair, the scenery in this valley as you drive down is very pretty. It's not pretty to look at, it's not natural, it's just not a thing that I'm a fan of. Again, quite fieldy. I don't know if it's more the light, like the sun's out, but there's like a sort of like mist as well, but it is a pretty view. It is a very nice view, and the deer, as much as I slated the weatherman this morning, he was right. We had some lunch at Carter Bar and then made our final push to Kielder, where we'll be staying for the night at Elfkirk Viewpoint, one of 3 locations in Kielder that you can buy an overnight parking ticket. As we drove towards the setting sun, the sky put on quite the spectacular show of colours, but our night wasn't going to be as easy as we hoped. So we stayed in Kielder Castle, I believe it's an overflow car park last night, because of Elfkirk Point not having a card machine. We came all the way here, which was about 15-20 minute drive, but then the card machine here doesn't actually work, so we haven't actually got a ticket, but we didn't get moved, we didn't get any bother. There was a couple of other vans parked here as well last night. It is where a lot of the mountain bike sort of trails and stuff start from, as far as I'm aware, so it was quite busy last night, but then everyone left maybe 7-8 o'clock, so it wasn't actually busy in terms of people staying here. If you're into that kind of thing, Kielder is ideal. There's loads of activity centres and everything like that for kids and stuff as well, and some nice walks, which is what we're planning on doing shortly. So just got to sort the van out, make a push and then crack on. As we were leaving the car park, I did notice a sign that said Kielder Forest Drive. Now, I've never been on this Kielder Forest Drive before, so we decided to turn around and go for a little mooch.
Fill me in on your wildest moments. Colored trees, your yellow leaves move me. Dancing roofs, your painted red shakes the room. When I get there, I'll let my feet roam. When I get there, I'll break in your arms, I'll lose control. When I get there, I'll know the answer. Let me know.
The Kielder Forest Drive went on for miles, and we used the time on the road to discuss whether we would recommend the Northumberland 250 as a road trip. And this was our final takeaway. If it's not on your doorstep and you want to travel up here and you've never been up here, and you might have even done Scotland, you might have done the NC 500 and not done this before, then
you need to do the Northumberland 250 because the coastline is definitely some of the best in the UK. We take all that for granted because that's where we are from. So then when we see the stuff on the NC 500 and everyone's like, oh, the beaches are amazing, I was like, well, they're not special because we're used to seeing that every day. So if you are from up north, you don't need to do it as a road trip. Just pick your favourite trips, but definitely don't look too far afield. And if you're not from up north and you haven't been to Northumberland and you're considering something like the NC 500, do this.